Srila Prabhupada Astotra Sri Srimad Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord. So, I'm very honored to be here and to have been invited by Pujapad Rajnath Prabhu to attend and also contribute whatever small amount of understanding I have. You can hear me? Haribol? Okay. I was trying not to make it puff, it's puffing a little bit. So, I'm just expressing my gratitude for being here, and by the causeless mercy of Srila Gurudev alone, as Rajnath Prabhu was saying, we have had the fortune to come to this place to develop our bhakti. So, I'm going to speak about the demons of Vrindavan in the 10th canto. But before beginning the actual pastimes of those demons, we have to take concentrated, full dedication to the lotus feet of Sri Guru. Nothing can ever transpire of value without the sanction of Sri Guru. We are conditioned souls coming from a conditioned place. We cannot develop spiritual life without that spiritual personality who has that gift, that benediction, that realization, that appreciation, understanding. So that realization is potentially within us. Prakatam, Priti, what's that? Kriti Satyam Bhavet Satyam. Prakatam, Priti Satyate. That within potential, we have that spiritual identity. But only with the light from Guru can that be manifested. Just like a piece of wood. A piece of wood has the potential of fire within it. All wood is exposed to the sun. It all has the element of fire within it. But that fire will never manifest until another piece of wood touches it. And then it will ignite. So similarly, Guru is the same. We have that potential within us, but it can never ignite without the mercy of Guru. So before embarking on this topic, I am taking full shelter of my beloved Gurudev and our Rupanuga Guru Bhagya, who is embodied in the personality of Sri Guru. Sri Guru is the whole Guru Parampara. So, Yasya Devi Parabhaktiya Yata Devi Tata Guru. That only these great souls who have dedicated their lives to Krishna and Guru will these truths be manifested in the heart of the sincere jiva. So this is the purpose really of our coming here, is to increase our bhakti. We will hear many aspects of knowledge or jnana. Our purpose is not to become jnanis. Two types of jnanis. There is a person in knowledge of Krishna's Aishwarya, and there is that person who is very knowledgeable on the path of bhakti. You'll see it's a phenomenon that many personalities who know a great amount of information will know where to point in the direction, like a signpost, but they are unable to walk there themselves, just like a policeman can direct and so on. But the actual walking to the heart of devotion takes more than just knowledge. It takes this connection with Guru sincerely initially. So, I'm taking shelter of Guru, and I'm also taking shelter of this Vipralambha Dhamma, Kurukshetra, this place where we are now. This is such a holy place. This is where Mahaprabhu manifested his Vipralambha pastimes. Mahaprabhu wanted to taste the happiness that Sri Radha experiences from receiving the sweetness of Krishna's love, and also to understand the glories of Radha and to taste his own. Krishna wanted to taste his own wonderful sweet qualities. So these three desires were fulfilled here in Puridam by Mahaprabhu, in the association of Swarup Damodar and Ramananda in the Gambhira. Daily, every night, he spent 18 years, 12 years specifically, in deep meditation in the Gambhira. 6 years traveling and 6 years summoning festival, etc. But 12, that's 24 years altogether in this Leela. And of course we have Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra, who we are also taking shelter of. So we have all the support. We have everything. We have nothing lacking. So, coming to this subject matter of the 10th canto, initially we need to clarify the Satyam Paramadimahi, or the understanding of what is the goal of this Bhagavatam. If we just take this Vrindavan Leela out of context with the other 12 cantos, you're not getting the full entirety of the picture that Vyasadeva and Shukadev Goswami are presenting. So in the Mangalacharyan verse, the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Janmadi Asya Yatani Vyati Kalatas Kalatisheshu Abhinasuram Tene Brahma Kride Yadikabaya Muyanti Yatsuraya Teje Vari Mridam Yata Vilimoya Yatra Trisargo Misham Damna Svena Sada Nirasa Kurukam Satyam Paramadimahi. This is the invocation for this whole Bhagavatam. And in principle, these last three words, Satyam Parama Dimahi, this is saying what is the highest place for meditation for the aspiring sadhak. Where is this Bhagavatam taking us? Unless we understand where the Bhagavatam is taking us, how can we appreciate these pastimes of Krishna's Balya and Bhogandya Lila in Vrindavan? These pastimes with him fighting with the demons. How can that really be properly seen in perspective? So Krishna Chakravarti Thakur has given 5 explanations of this goal. And our beloved Gurudev has also given 5. Practically they are the same. There's a slight difference. Shri Krishna Chakravarti Thakur, he makes his first explanation that worship of that Supreme Lord, that Supreme Personality, who is not described necessarily in form, but is the universal or pervasive potency or power of the world. This is the first explanation. And the second is Lord Narayan and his pastimes in Vaikuntha. This is the greatness, the Aishwarya Bhava mood of the Lord. And then the third is Madhurya Dhamma itself, or Madhurya mood, Madhurya Bhava. This sweetness, this is actually the ultimate goal. And then again further, that Radha and Krishna, service to them are the ultimate goal. This is the 4th one. And then the 5th goal that Bhakti, that Shri Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur describes, is Bhakti Devi herself. So this is what I've just been describing previously, is an appreciation of where is our Bhakti coming from. It's coming from Sri Guru, empowered by Gauranga Mahaprabhu and his associates. So, and Bhakti, I said, is already residing in the heart of the jiva but needs to be ignited. So how to get this bhakti Devi, this is the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, our beloved Gurudev has given 5 explanations also, and he has included in his 4th explanation that only worship of Sri Radha is the principle, Satyam Paramadimahi. And then higher even than this worship is worship of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So my Gurudev gives the Satyam Paramadimahi as we focus on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This in his Secrets of the Bhagavatam. This is what he's described. So this is our background, so to speak. So there are 12 cantos as I've described, and the first 9 cantos are creating an environment or atmosphere for us to have the eligibility to tread into the 10th canto. The 10th canto is a very confidential description of the Lord's pastimes. It's increasing in confidentiality. So throughout the Bhagavatam, the most beautiful relationships are being described by Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami makes his appearance in the 19th chapter of the first canto. So in essence, Shukadeva Goswami begins his description to Parikshit Maharaj, answering his questions in the 2nd canto. The 2nd canto is really where Shukadeva Goswami starts to describe the Virata Rupa, etc. And also he describes the Chatushloki, is also described in the 2nd canto. But at the end of the 2nd canto, in the last chapter, there are 10 chapters in the 2nd canto. And in the last chapter, then he describes the 10 topics that are going to be discussed in the Bhagavatam. So actually, up until this point, up until the beginning of the 3rd canto, it hasn't really begun, so to speak. It's been creating a very auspicious environment and atmosphere and background. It begins with the sages asking Sutta Goswami so many questions at Naimisharanya. And then Sutta Goswami is answering according to his understanding what he heard in Hastinapur from Shukadeva Goswami. Naimisharanya is perhaps 600 or 700 miles from Hastinapur. And there on the Gomukh River in Naimisharanya is where the sages gathered to perform a 1,000-year yajna. And during that time, Sutta Goswami, he travels to Hastinapur and he hears this conversation between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukadeva Goswami. I'm describing the background, I'm trying to paint a picture of the whole Bhagavatam. Really, Rajanath Prabhu was describing, I'm going to talk about the Anatas. Actually, I'm not going to talk very much about the Anatas at all. That's a very secondary topic. My Gurudev would not discuss that extensively when he discussed these pastimes. Mostly he would be excited and enlightened by hearing the sweetness of Krishna's pastimes in connection with the demons. It was Braj Lila that actually he wanted to hear. I can remember 2 or 3 times speaking on some demon, and then I would start into a whole long, explanation of the anartha. And Gurudev sit down. And he was not always wanting to hear we will describe, according to Bhakti Thakur's Krishna Samhita, of course, what they are. But the principle that I want to share with you is the appreciation particularly of Braj. Because it's Brajadam where all the highest, sweetest pastimes are described. If it's Bhakti that we have come here to aspire to be enlightened by and achieve, then Brajadam and the Braja pastimes are the places where that Bhakti will be directly inspired and even experienced when we're considering Krishna's pastimes there. But just initially, I'm just trying to paint a picture and make a platform for entrance into these confidential pastimes. So, Sutta Goswami is describing to Sonaka Rishi. Sonaka Rishi is an elderly personality who is the most senior amongst, and Sutta Goswami is the most erudite scholar and empowered by Baladev Prabhu. His father was Ramaharsana Sutta, and we know the story of Baladev went into that same assembly and he took the push because Ramaharsana didn't honor Baladev. Baladev is a Guru Mula Tattva himself, and all rose when Baladev went into that assembly. So I'm going to be describing many things. Some people are newer and some people are older. I hope that it will be sufficient enough, broad enough package for you to get something from what I'm describing. So Baladev Prabhu, he killed the father of Sutta Goswami, but he installed Sutta Goswami. And it's Sutta Goswami who is speaking the words of the Bhagavatam and describing from the second canto the direct conversation of Shukadev with Parikshit Maharaj. But up until that time, he's just expressing all these truths directly to the sages of Naimisharanya. It's an interesting point that Srila Vishwanath Thakur makes, that these sages initially gathered at Naimisharanya were not advanced bhaktas. Actually, they were not bhaktas particularly at all. They were sages with aspiration for Swargaloka. They were sages with aspiration for moksha, etc. This was their intention initially. So it's like us gathering to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. We are coming from that same background. So the science of Bhagavatam is going to take us through to become lovers of Krishna or attracted to Krishna, bhaktas of Krishna. This is the Bhagavatam itself is teaching in this way. Bhagavatam itself is the teacher or the guiding light. Krishna Swadamo Bhajite Dharmajanadi Visaha Kalona Sadrisha Isha Purana Kodunodita. The Srimad Bhagavatam is as brilliant as the sun. It has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna for his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Men who have lost their vision shall get light from this Bhagavad Purana. So this is the condition we find ourselves in this world. It's covered in darkness. Day by day we see the covering more intensely. So the first cantos from Canto 3 is when Shukadev Goswami begins to describe the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. And then it goes into Vamanadev pastimes, etc. in Canto 3. And then it rolls through Dhruva and Prithu Maharaj, and then Ajamil, and then Ritrasura, and Indra's pastimes, Shraketu. And then in the second canto we have Prahlad Charita, eighth canto is the demons and the devas battling it out. And then the ninth canto, it begins quite a historical description of the different dynasties. So if you understood what I've just gone through 9 cantos in like 2 sentences. So if you're up to speed with the Bhagavatam, you will appreciate that connection. So now we're into the 9th canto, and the very last chapter, I think it's chapter 28 of the 9th canto, starts to describe the dynasty of the Yadus, the Yadava dynasty. And at this time, Parikshit Maharaj, understand Parikshit Maharaj's condition. He's about 40 years old at this time. He was in the womb at the very end of the battle of Kurukshetra. Because at the end of the Kurukshetra war, Krishna came to Hastinapur. And at the very end of the Kurukshetra war, Ashwatthama killed those 5 sons. And then Arjuna was pursuing Ashwatthama. This is all in the 6th chapter of the 1st canto. Then he was pursuing Ashwatthama, and Ashwatthama became very afraid. And he, in his fear, out of fear, he threw a Brahmastra weapon wanting to kill Arjuna and the other 4 Pandavas. And that was counteracted by Arjuna. Remarkable occurrence. Like more than 10 nuclear bombs were actually transported into the atmosphere, and a huge explosion took place there. But Ashvatam still hadn't finished. He now wanted to annihilate the last remaining heir to the Kuru dynasty. So he sent another Brahmastra to the womb. And Kunti Devi, she's terrified, calling that an iron arrow is coming straight to my womb. This was Uttara, sorry. Uttara. And she ran to Krishna, beseeching. Krishna was just leaving Hastinapur and took shelter of Krishna. And this time Krishna enters the womb of Uttara. And he's circling, it's described, loitering around with his club, is the language that Bhaktivedanta Swami uses, deflecting that nuclear weapon. And Parikshit, as a child in the womb, he's perceiving that. And he becomes very curious, who is that person? And Parikshit means a person who is searching for. His whole life he was searching for that same personality he saw in the womb of his mother. So this pastime happened about 40 years prior to the speaking of the Bhagavatam by Shukadeva Goswami. So Parikshit Maharaj is approximately between 35 and 40 years old at this time, because after Kurukshetra there was some Dantavakra had to be killed at that time. Then Shishupal, not Shishupal, Salva also at that time after. And then beautiful pastimes between the Pandavas and Krishna. And then finally Krishna, he leaves this world. And then Parikshit Maharaj takes control of the kingdom. And then we know the pastime of his curse by Srini, that Brahmin boy, to die within 7 days from the snake bite for dishonoring his father. That Muni, he dishonored. This is the story of the Bhagavatam. If you're not familiar, actually it's described by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that for the devotees, they are never ever tired of hearing these pastimes from the Bhagavatam. Even if they've heard them 1,000 times, they are still so enlightening and inspiring because they're full, saturated with Krishna. And when we hear these pastimes about Krishna, then our intrinsic nature, our spirit soul is automatically inspired in that direction towards Krishna. The purpose of this whole Bhagavatam ultimately is to develop attraction for Krishna. Bhagavan Brahma Karsena Tiravekyasya Manasya Taravyakya Kutesu Ratir Atman Yatobhavet. This means that Lord Brahma is saying that he has understood that the purpose of the Vedas is simply to develop attraction for Krishna. So this seminar we're going to be going through is about that attractive person, Krishna. This is what it's about because it's contained within the Bhagavatam. This is my subject matter. It's from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So I can't separate this presentation as a seminar without spreading the whole Bhagavatam out. Otherwise it has no significant context. It's just a story about a demon and an anartha. But if we can see and appreciate the entirety of the picture, the whole concept of Srimad Bhagavatam, then we can get a wealth of bhakti from this description, from hearing about the Bhagavatam. So now we come to the 10th canto. The first 9 cantos are described as Sambandha Gyan. They're developing a relationship with Krishna. They're developing an understanding of the material energy. And this is what is being developed, Sambandha Gyan. The Acharya of Sambandha Gyan, of course, is Sanatana Goswami, and the Ishtadev is Madan Mohan. So that is described within the first 9 cantos. In the 10th canto, surprisingly it seems, is not in sequence. It comes to the Prayojan Tattva. It comes to the Saman Bonam, or the Satyam Paramani directly. Because the 11th canto is describing how to access that Prayojan Tattva. But first we have to know the goal. If we don't know the goal, then what is the value of our practice? So I'm trying to make this presentation, trying to balance being a student and being a devotee and being a seminar and being in front of Lord Jagannath in the temple. So, and having newer people and older people, and trying to make the whole package somewhat balanced. Coming to my subject matter. We probably won't hit the subject matter perhaps until tomorrow morning, because there is a prelude actually before we can reach the first demon. So I hope you're appreciating the platform that I'm trying to establish, so that hearing about the demons will have so much more significance. If we just hear about the demons separately, what is its value really out of context? It doesn't hold connection really. It's separated from the Satyam Paramadimahi. Satyam Paramadimahi means that highest truth, Parama, Dimahi, to meditate on. Satyam, that purest, highest truth to meditate on. When you're chanting your japa, when you're doing any sort of devotional activity, what is its purpose? What is its value? Are we just like robots? Still just running to do activities, not thinking, not conscious? What to speak of Krishna conscious? Are we just acting blindly? We have to consider this Satyam Paramani Dimahi repeatedly. Gurudev has described so many times there is sadhan bhakti, bhava bhakti and prema bhakti. If our sadhan is not focused on the bhava, what is the value of our sadhan? It's nothing. It will be just focused on, am I happy in this material world? But we must be focused on bhava bhakti. So this is our intention, to come to this mood of brush, which will increase our bhakti. So coming to the 10th canto. 10th canto has 90 chapters. Altogether there are 335 chapters in the Bhagavatam. So if you take a vow to read one chapter every day, you get left over 1 month to catch up on anything you left out before. 365 days in a year, 335 chapters. So you still get 30 days, 1 month, up your sleeve to catch up if you want to read a chapter every day. It's designed like this. Bhagavatam, every part of the Bhagavatam is specially designed for us in this age. So even just understanding it mathematically, the way that it's connected. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, if you take the time to read all of his commentaries, which are all in English, from the first canto to the 12th canto, he links all of the chapters together. He links all of the cantos together. And he links all of the verses together. There's nothing disconnected. It's all a sublime thread of jewels. Every aspect of the Bhagavatam. So we need to have that appreciation to get the full benefit of the place where we are going now with this particular study. So we come to the 10th canto. 10th canto has 90 chapters. 40 of those chapters are about Dwarka Leela. And 5 chapters or 7 chapters are about Mathura. And 32 chapters out of 90 are directly about Vrindavan, Brajalila. And of those 32 chapters, 15 chapters are about demons. So we have plenty of material. We have a lot of place to examine. And this is in the Prayojan Tattva. This is in the highest consideration. It's not Abhideya. Abhideya means the way to access. It's the means to reach the goal. That's in the 11th canto, describing that, Buddha Sandesh, etc. These verses are describing how to access Prayojan. I can remember many times when Gurudev first went to Australia. Australia is not a place of heightened knowledge. And he first of all spoke the highest rustic truths in Australia. He spoke about Vrishabhamanandini, Viyogini, Samyogini. He spoke these topics and it wasn't until his third visit that he brought it down to Upadeshamrita. But he gave the Satyam Paramadimahi first. Unless you have the encouragement and inspiration to go to the goal, unless you know the goal clearly, why would you bother to practice devotional service? Unless you know what is the goal, how can you practice? If you don't know where you're going, how can you really go with enthusiasm? So this is the nature of the 10th canto. So 90 chapters of the 10th canto, and 40 of those are Dwarka, and 32 are directly Braj, and 5 are Mathura, and then there are 3 that are Kurukshetra. That's 84, I think, 83, 82, 83, 84. Kurukshetra chapters. Huh? Oh, well, there's Ujjain, and there's Akrura in Hastinapur, and there are some odd chapters like that that are separated.
So there's 2 Kurukshetra.
Three chapters are describing Kurukshetra. Actually, I have a list here that I can mail to you all. If you want to give me your email addresses, I can mail to you this morning, of all the chapters of the Srimad Bhagavatam. But I have a better copy than this with the titles also by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, because the titles are really relevant. And there's some speciality in Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's words. Actually, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, it's a translation by Banu Swami, which is very enlivening. But when we have read that, we come back to such a special mood that Prabhupada wrote in his commentary, which is actually not there in Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. The bar, so to speak, is not the same. Actually, in Prabhupada's commentary, it's very, very special and sweet. Even though the knowledge is there in Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So if anybody wants a copy of this, and they can appreciate all the different chapters, etc. And see, because for many people, this 12-volume literature is quite intimidating. They think, oh, I will never read this in my whole life, this is so beyond me. But if we discuss it in this way, how many chapters here and this and etc., it becomes so much more accessible. It breaks it apart, at the same time threads it together. So, coming back to the subject matter, in the first 5 chapters of the 10th canto, it's taking place in Mathura. And there are prayers to demigods, etc. But it's describing this, I won't say first demon of Braj, because Kamsa is not a demon who has the adhikar to even enter Braj. But he sends all his servants. Kamsa, remember, defeated all of these different demons. There are 21 demons that I hope we'll have time for some of them or most of them. If we don't finish them, it doesn't really matter. I was just telling Brinda this morning. My purpose in speaking this is to try and inspire you all to take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam through the mercy of Guru and Gauranga, to actually study this, go away with this, with an inspired mood to study deeper. I will give one description of all these, but I'm hoping that it will sustain itself over the next years with you, and then you'll take something away of inspiration to study more deeply.
Otherwise, next year you can come back
And finish it off.
finish them off.
So, Kamsa in his previous birth was Kalanini. He was a son of Hiranyakashipu. And we know the story of Hiranyakashipu, great demon. So Kalanini was born great demon. And he was ultimately defeated in battle by Vishnu himself. But Kalanini, he begged for a benediction from Lord Brahma, just as his father had done. And he wanted that benediction of not being killed by any demigods or any weapon, etc., just like his father. And he got that benediction, and ultimately he was killed by Vishnu. Ultimately. So Kalanini had 6 sons, called the 6 Gauravas. And those 6 sons didn't take shelter of their great-grandfather, or their grandfather rather. I don't mean great in something, I mean magnificent grandfather. The 6 sons of Kalanini, the Gauravas, took shelter of Lord Brahma and not Hiranyakashipu. And they performed austerities to please Lord Brahma, who benedicted them with so much potency. But when they returned to that place, that palace of Hiranyakashipu, he understood that my grandsons had taken shelter of Lord Brahma and not of me. So he became furious, and he curses them to actually take birth in Bhumi Devi, on Mother Earth. And he curses their father, who is Kalanini, that in your next birth you will kill your sons. Think about how demonic that sort of curse is, that someone should say, I curse you, you will kill your sons in your next birth.
Sons from this birth.
Huh?
Sons from this birth.
His sons from this birth, in their next birth, he will take birth, and he will kill his sons. So those 6 sons, of course, are the sons of Devaki, who Kamsa kills all of them, very happily, his own previous sons. But actually, those 6 sons we know requested Mother Ganga to arrange for this pastime so quickly they would be absolved from this curse to have taken birth on Mother Earth. Those 6 Gauravas didn't want to take birth on Earth. So Ganga Devi, she arranged for them to be killed very quickly. So it was all a benediction. This is a long Mahabharata type pastime. I won't go into that subject here. But basically, Kamsa. So Kamsa took birth in the wife of Ugrasen. Ugrasen is the father of Vasudeva, who is the father of Krishna. So they're very much connected, related. So the pastime is that Padmavati was visiting her father's house. Satyabrit, his name was, King Satyabrit of Vrindavan, visiting the father's house. And then she went for a walk one day, and a demon called Godila or Drumila, same person, he disguised himself as Ugrasen. Not just disguised, it's like he came as Ugrasen, but he was the demon. When it says disguised, it means they're not just putting on a makeup or anything like that. They became like that person. So Padmavati, she had a physical connection with him at that time. It was a beautiful setting, they were very happy, the birds were singing, etc. So, and then this Drumila, he conceived a child in the womb. This Drumila is a Gandhara, who is like a demon. He's actually a Gandhara, but he's like a demon. So he impregnated Padmavati, who is the wife of Ugrasen, with this child Kamsa. And Kamsa was present in the womb of Padmavati for 10 years. And Padmavati's mother and father back in the palace when they heard what had actually happened, because after this act, Padmavati was very distressed and she was very unhappy that this demon had come and impregnated her. So the family tried to abort the child with poison, and so many ways they tried to get rid of this child, but they couldn't. And finally this child spoke from the womb, saying, "Don't try to kill me. You don't know who I am. I am a greatly powerful personality. I was just defeated only by Vishnu. No one else can defeat me. I am such a powerful personality." So when they realized the enormity of this demon, then they stopped trying to abort him. But for 10 years, Padmavati had to carry this child. And finally this demon, Kamsa, was born. I'm describing that background just to see what a great demon Kamsa actually was. And then Kamsa, very quickly, he began to conquer all the other demons of like Putana, etc. Trinavrata, Pralambasura, Bakasura, Agasura, these were all demons, Keshi demon, Vyoma, etc. They were all conquered by Kamsa. Kamsa made them his servants. This is all described in Garga Samhita. In Garga Samhita it's described this pastime. So all these demons were under the control of Kamsa, except for one, and that is Putana. He could not defeat Putana. Putana had the strength of 10,000 elephants. If we can just imagine for a moment the strength of one elephant. Imagine one elephant coming in here. Imagine 10 elephants. Imagine 100 elephants. Imagine 1,000 elephants. Imagine 10,000. It's very strong. So Kamsa couldn't actually defeat her. But he's so smart because he's a demon. He made a truce with her. He made an arrangement. They would support each other. So the first demon we actually come to is Putana. We'll come to that in a little bit. So this is the stage, so to speak, where the 10th canto begins. And of course we know the pastime when Vasudeva is taking Devaki on a chariot in her wedding day. And then there's an aerial voice saying, "Oh, you fool Kamsa, don't you know that the 8th son of your daughter-in-law, your sister, rather, no, daughter-in-law. Daughter-in-law. Kamsa is the brother of Vasudeva.
Oh, the brother of Devaki.
Devaki is his sister, and he brought his sister to the house of Vasudeva.
Right, you're right. So Vasudeva, yes, okay. Sorry. There's so much family tree. Actually, one thing that I'm going to share with you is that all of these Vrindavan pastimes and the Mathura pastimes are about Krishna's relationships. And Krishna is related to practically everybody. Vasudeva had 18 wives, and they all had husbands and children, etc. So they're all, those yadus, they're all directly related to Krishna. And then in Vrindavan itself, when we read Radha Krishna Galadesh Deepika, Gurudev has described, all of, in Braj, they're all related to Krishna. They're all second cousin, third cousin, etc. So Kamsa is driving his sister, Devaki, and the voice says, the 8th child will kill you. So then immediately Kamsa wants to kill his own sister. This is how demonic he is, just in a moment. We think this IS is demonic. It's nothing compared to what actually has happened in the past. Even you open the Bhagavatam, in the 7th chapter is the story of Ashwatthama beheading these children. It's like immediately this sort of bloodbath. But we have to understand it with transcendence. It's not just a brutal mentality. Actually, there's a whole spiritual culture that is manifesting from the Bhagavatam. So, coming back to this subject, Kamsa was this big, and all his life, from that point, he was terrified of his death by the 8th son of Vasudeva, the 8th son of Devaki, his sister. So now, after these first 5 chapters of the Bhagavatam, we come into the 6th chapter. And it's the 6th chapter that the demon Putana makes her appearance. So Krishna's birth in Mathura has been described in the 5th chapter prior. Because remember that Shukadeva is speaking to Parikshit, who is a Mathuravasi. So he doesn't want to tell Parikshit that Krishna took birth in Braj, in fact. He tells him that he took birth in and Krishna did take birth in Mathura. Not birth, but he manifested. Appeared in a four-armed form in Mathura with his conch, his club, lotus, etc. As a 16-year-old youth with beautiful wavy hair, etc. This is how he appeared in Mathura. But then he immediately became a small child because Devaki was so afraid, and carried across the Jamuna and put in the birth chamber beside Mother Yashoda. And then they took that female child back to Mathura, and that female child immediately began to cry. And Kamsa, thinking that this was the 8th child, he ran quickly to grab her and kill her. And he picked up the feet of that child and wanted to smash her on a rock. But that child slipped from his hands and came into the sky as Badri Kali. So this pastime actually begins with Badri Kali. This is actually the beginning of the Putana pastime. And then Badri Kali told Kamsa that he was a fool, that his destroyer had already manifested and that he would die, no question, by the hands of his 8th child. So Canto was holding all his fear. And at this time, he called his greatest demon, who is Putana. Putana is, as I said before, he couldn't defeat Putana. She had the strength of 10,000 elephants. He couldn't defeat her. So he requested her to go to Braj. Putana is described by Jiva Goswami in Gopal Champu as eating children like piles of rice. She would eat babies like a pile of rice. This is her nature. She's a Rakshasi, not just any Rakshasi. She is 12 miles long, 2 miles wide. That is like huge. If we think of Mount Everest, I think is 5.5 miles, something like that. Double the height of Mount Everest was actually the height of Putana, this demon. So now, after the birth of Krishna in Braj, Krishna manifests in Mathura from the womb of Devaki as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he takes birth from the womb of his mother Yashoda in Vrindavan. The Krishna in Vrindavan doesn't have the conception of being God. This is the most beautiful aspect of Krishna in Braj. This is the essential difference. I'm just speaking to Adam as a side, just to explain in case. This essential difference is there. In Mathura, he's of the mood, I am that Supreme Personality of God. This is called Aishwarya, which means like awe and reverence, majestic, bhav. But the mood in Braj is only Madhurya. Because these pastimes could not take place if Krishna was in the conception that I am God. Krishna is Sarvagya and Mukdata. He's knowing everything, and yet at the same time, he doesn't know anything. This is totally inconceivable for our consciousnesses. It's called Achintya, that means inconceivable, bhav. So when Krishna manifests in Braj from the womb of Mother Yashoda directly, because there's this jati ceremony where they cut the umbilical cord, and all the Brijvasis actually see that Krishna has been born in Braj. Then Nanda Baba, he knows how vicious Kamsa is in Mathura. Mathura physically is about 8 or 9 kilometers from Vrindavan. Krishna takes birth in Gokul, which is actually across the Jamuna River. But even though it seems perhaps 15 or 16 miles difference between Mathura and Vrindavan, there is a universe of difference. One time Gurudev described very, very beautifully. He says, if you look at the night sky and you see a constellation of stars, not all those stars are in the same distance from this planet. Some stars may be millions and billions of miles further back. So when you look at the Mathura Mandal or the Braj Mandal, it's called, both, it looks like Mathura is in Braj. But Mathura is billions of miles different in conception to Braj. You understand this difference? It's important to appreciate where these demons are coming from to enter Braj. Now how? So Nanda Baba, he decides to keep things peaceful. And he decides he will be a dutiful Vaishya and he will go to Mathura to pay his taxes to Kamsa. So Krishna is about 3 days old at this time. And Nanda Baba very quickly goes to, you correct me if I say anything different, you know what they say.
No worry.
Because sometimes it said 3 days, sometimes it said 6 days, different descriptions in different, but basically a 6-day-old baby and a 3-day-old baby are quite similar. They're very, very helpless. So Nanda Baba, he's gone to Mathura to pay his taxes. Taxes of all milk products, etc. Because that's the wealth of Braj, is milk products. And in the meantime, Putana, she has become afraid of Nanda Baba's archers. Nanda Baba has archers in Braj. And they have what is called a Narayan Astra in their arrows. This is what Jiva Goswami describes in Gopal Canto. So she knows this Narayan Astra will expose her. And she will be defeated by that Narayan. She can't defeat Narayan. She may be very powerful, but she can't defeat Narayan. So she has to make a plan. How will Putana enter Braj? So she takes the guise of a most extraordinary, beautiful, like a Lakshmi Devi, like a demigoddess. And she walks into Braj. And when she comes in, most of the fit and strong cowherd men have gone with Nanda Baba to Mathura to assist him there. So all that is left is some younger cowherd men and some older men in Braj. But all of them are totally enamored by the splendor and beauty of Putana as she enters this village of Braj. And then she comes in to the courtyard of Yashoda Ma's house. Rohini Ma is there also. Rohini is like the mother of Baladev. And Rohini and Yashoda, they're always together. So she comes in and she comments, Jiva Goswami says, to Yashoda, oh, you don't know how to feed your son properly. And Yashoda is expressed 3 or 4 times by Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. Never actually feels qualified sufficiently to have this remarkable child as her son. She's always feeling less than qualified. She's feeling, how am I able to actually have... This is a symptom of her deep, deep humility. So when this Rakshasi, Putana, enters the courtyard, then she tells Yashoda, she knows Yashoda is a little feeling inferior about having this child. And she says to, oh, you don't know how to treat your child properly, how to feed. Only I know how to feed him properly. So then, Putana, she approaches baby Krishna. And Krishna, first of all, we have to understand, how is Putana even able to come into Braj? How can a demon come anywhere where the chanting of Hare Krishna and Vedic mantras and all auspicious activities taking place. She doesn't come into Braj. She's invited by Yogamaya to have her death in Braj. She's invited to die. Actually, she doesn't die in Braj. She doesn't actually leave her body in Braj. But she's invited by Yogamaya. Why? To support Krishna's pastimes. How is that? Everything in Braj is only showing the sweetness of Krishna's relationships with his family members. This is what all of Braj Dharma is only about. Principally, the attractive quality and nature and sweetness of Krishna in relationship with his family members. So by Yogamaya allowing these demons to enter Braj, these relationships just blossom to such a degree where they think they're going to lose their beloved Krishna. If you think you're going to lose this person, then you become even more attached, more attracted. Your heart becomes more connected with that soul, with that personality. So this is the dynamic. This is the reason all of these demons, one of the reasons, are constantly coming into Braj during Krishna's Balya and Poganda Leela. Balya is when he's very young, up to the age of 6. Then Poganda up to the age of 10, and then from 10 till 16 is the Kashor age. So this is in Balya Leela, or Kumara Leela, you can say. Balya Kumara Leela, not the same. So this demon has got passport stamp to come into Braj by Yogamaya herself, to increase and enhance Krishna's sweet pastimes. And Krishna, he knows Putana, of course. He's also Sarvagyan, he's also all-knowing. How can we understand this? He's all-knowing and not knowing simultaneously. What?
Inconceivable.
Inconceivable, absolutely inconceivable. If we start to appreciate the inconceivability of it, then it means that we're approaching it from a very humble vision or humble perspective. If we think, oh yes, I understand that, then you actually lose the heart of it. So, when Putana approaches Krishna, Krishna closes his eyes. And it's described 19 different reasons why he closes his eyes. The Acharyas, even though they've heard these pastimes 1,000,000 times before, even though Parikshit has heard this pastime many times before, I'll describe at the end how Krishna advertises this pastime through the sweetness of the smoke when they're burning Putana's body. He wants everyone, so the Mathuravasis, they already knew this pastime. But Shukadev, he's inquiring so nicely at the end of this 9th chapter, 9th canto, about Krishna's pastimes, that Shukadev becomes inspired to enter Braj because of Shukadev's greed and enthusiasm to hear directly of the sweetness of Krishna. Parikshit, what did I say? Oh, Parikshit. Parikshit. So, this mood is very important to enter this 10th canto. So now, Putana is approaching Krishna. Krishna closes his eyes. And one reason is described, he doesn't want to see such an inauspicious woman who's pretending to be like a mother come to poison him. Putana has smeared very, very, very heavy poison on her breasts, that even just a fraction of it would kill any child. And she's come with the intention to murder this child and to eat this child. That's her nature. Another dynamic, another species of life. So Krishna closes his eyes not to give her his auspicious glance also. He doesn't want to see that woman. He also, he wants to avoid the shame of killing a woman like a mother, and avoid seeing inauspicious Putana's death. So there are many reasons for him closing his eyes. So then Putana expertly takes the child on his lap and begins to put her breast in Krishna's mouth. And Krishna actually at this time becomes very angry that this woman is killing so many children in Braj. He becomes angry with that. But Sri Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur describes, of course, this is not sweet Krishna who is going to kill Putana. This is Krishna's energy. It's called a Samhara Shakti. Vishnu Chakravarti as Samhara Shakti that actually will kill Putana. So Krishna takes that breast with his two hands and he drinks not only the poison and whatever milk is there in her breast, and then he begins to suck up her life air. But it's described by the Acharyas that this actually is a very great benediction for Putana, because not even Mother Devaki had her breast sucked by Krishna. Devaki never suckled Krishna on her breast. So Putana has more than even Devaki has. How can we understand these things? We cannot, unless we're in guidance of the pure acharyas. But the principle is achintya, so this fact is there. And then Krishna begins to suck out her very life air. And at this point, Putana comes to her senses completely and realizes this child is going to kill me. And she tries with all her strength of 10,000 elephants to pull the child from her breast. The child, she can't get him off. Krishna's holding on with his feet and his hands, but his lips principally. It's described that Krishna kills Putana with his lips. The next demon, Trinabrata, he's going to kill with his hands. Oh, the next demon, Shakatasura, he kills with his feet. So Krishna is just showing his all power in all areas. Lips, feet, hands, whatever. Krishna has the power. However you want me to kill him, I will. So, then at this time, Putana rushes out of the house and she assumes her normal Rakshasi 12-mile high form. And at this time, Mother Yashoda and Rohini Ma have completely fainted. It's described by the Acharyas that unless they fainted, they would have died in shock at the possibility of their darling son being killed by this demon. They would have died of shock. But due to Yogamaya's mercy, they only fainted. So they didn't die of shock. See how... Sariyat ho gaya. 10 minute और.
আমি আমার কথা বলবো না, কাল ভোর গেছে তো সেই তো নাই বললাম। কালকের ওই উপোস গেছে সেই জন্য।
ঠিক আছে। So
তুমি খেয়াল করো আরেকজন।
So Mother Yashoda and Rohini, by the mercy of Yogamaya, only faint. They don't. But see this dynamic that they would have died. This is showing the attachment and affection they've already built for Krishna. He's only 3 days old. But how much total affection? Actually, it's described that when Krishna is this age, he's sometimes crying, and all his relatives come, and they will all pass around the baby Krishna. He's only happy when he's in the arms of his different relatives. So it's described again, so many relatives would come to visit Krishna at this time, when he's a little tiny baby. So then Putana, remember, 12 miles high, so 2 steps she takes. That's 24 miles. She's out of brush, and she crashes down. Where? Garden of Kamsa, in his mango orchard. And it's described by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur that even in her death, she's killing living entities for all these mango trees. But it's not in Braj, it's Kamsa's orchard that is being demolished. So Putana crashes down there. And then of course, the younger gopis who didn't pass out, they run very, very quickly, 24 kilometers, very fast. They run to the body of Putana to quickly find if Krishna's okay. And Krishna is still sitting on the breast of Putana, which is like a big hill. Because when Putana's body is lying down, it's described like her teeth are like plowshares, her eyes are like wells, her stomach is like, her navel is like a well, and her legs are like riverbanks. There's this enormous form lying there, but on the breast of it is like the peak of a mountain. And there's Krishna, just sitting there. And it's described how the gopis, they run up there, and then they pass Krishna down in a chain. They make a chain of gopis. So they quickly pass him down, very quickly. They don't want to waste any time. And then it's described by Jiva Goswami that they run, jumping and shouting with glee, holding baby Krishna, running back home to revive Mother Yashoda and Rohini Ma, that actually is okay. But Rohini Ma doesn't come back to consciousness. And they're trying in so many different ways. And then one elderly gopi, she takes Krishna personally and she puts him right beside Mother Yashoda. Then Mother Yashoda comes back to life, and then again she passes out when she sees Krishna again, but again she comes back to life again. So this dynamic of this heart-rendering relationship is what is really the most significant aspect of allowing Putana to enter Braj. So now, when Nanda Baba is returning from Mathura after having paid his taxes, he becomes astonished. Did he take a wrong road? Has some mountain, flying mountain, suddenly dropped in the middle of the track? What is this? And then they start to realize this actually is a demon. It's actually a Rakshasi. But she's dead. And then Nanda Baba, he thinks this is remarkable. Because Vasudeva, his cousin brother, just told him that he should go quickly back to Braj after paying the taxes to Kamsa, because there were some inauspicious omens going to take place in Braj. So Nanda Baba becomes amazed that his brother has such mystic vision and can perceive that actually this demon came. So he's very afraid, because of course he is so attached to Krishna also, so much attached. And then Nanda Baba, he orders Upananda, his elder brother. It's interesting actually that 5 brothers, Upananda, Abhinanda, Nanda, Sunanda and Nandana. And when their father, Parjanya, was bestowing the kingship of Braj, he naturally said, the elder son, Upananda, you will be the king of Braj, you are elder. But then Upananda, in great culture, he said, actually, my second brother, Nanda, is more qualified to become the king of Braj. And then the other 4 brothers, they also agreed. So it's complete opposite of what you would get in the material world. Huh? He was the 3rd brother, and there were 2 other younger brothers. So the 4 brothers all agreed that Nanda Baba should be the reigning king of Braj. But it's just beautiful the way that he's not like legitimately should be there, should be Upananda. But they all support Nanda. So we see straight away this cultural mood, this non-envious, this very loving, very real exchanges that are taking place in Braj. This is Vrindavan. So this is Vrindavan Leela, where we are trying to access to appreciate this demon of Putana. So then when he asks Upananda to order the lower caste to cut that body up and to burn it, and then which they do of course, and then the smoke from that, the fragrance from that burning body, it goes to all the local villages around. Not only that, it goes into Swargaloka. Not only that, it goes into the very bottom part of Vaikuntha. It's described it goes into Sutalaloka. Bali Maharaj, he also smells his fragrance. So all us, what is this nature of this? This smells so beautiful. This smells like a transcendental fragrance. So they're all asking, oh, don't you know? Krishna just killed Putana demon. So the glories of Krishna are immediately established in the first 3 days of his prowess, his heroic pastimes. just immediately. But this is not the principle. The principle is the relationships that are demonstrated. So then Nanda he comes back to the family and he's so overjoyed. He won't let Krishna go. He's holding the elderly gopis are saying, no, you must give it. No, Nanda is holding. He was so afraid that Krishna could have been killed by this demonic personality. So we don't have a lot of time here. So this represents, we have to say something about this. I was saying before that Gurudev never went into great happiness describing the anarthas connected with the demons. When we would speak publicly many times on the different demons, we would start to explain the different anarthas and Gurudev would often cut us short. We liked to hear the Braj flavor of these demon personalities more than he wanted, because our path is not anartha nivriti. Our path is artha pravriti. Anartha is something that we don't want. Artha is something that we do want. So better to stay focused on what we do want. And what we do want is Brajabal, this flavor of Braj. This is how I understood from Srila Gurudev. He wanted to give us this mood, not the mood of so much, but nevertheless, Putana represents, of course, false guru. And guru is the initiating platform for all activities to happen. So the first pastime is Krishna has to annihilate this false guru. False guru in the form of deceitful behavior or encouraging disciples towards sense gratification. Or it's trying to describe to younger people something that they don't have the adhikar or ability to actually appreciate. This also is false guru. If you're describing something so lofty and there's no one around who can actually relate to what you're describing, this is also described as false guru. So this false guru is immediately annihilated from Braj. So this is the significance of Putana. Actually, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, he's written a beautiful essay on, it's called the Putana essay, and it's all about false guru. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati and Srila Bhakti Thakur have written extensively on these demons of Braj, as far looking at the anarthas aspect of that. So, in that description, he describes that, for example, an institution that does not have a pure devotee at its head is no better than a society of drunks. These are his exact words. If you don't have a guiding master who knows clearly, because it gets very mixed, we may know so many aspects of Shastra, we may have had so many years associating with a Mahabhagavat, but unless we've actually had that final understanding and purity and realization, we are not on that same level. So it can become very clouded, and younger people can become very influenced by someone who is not entirely realized. So this is described as false guru, and this particular aspect of wanting fame, wealth, adoration, etc. is what a false guru's motivation is. This is actually what he is searching for, somehow or other, canvassing the world to support his own material desires. And they're very subtle. It's not just physical gross wealth. It's actually that taste of being adored by so many people. And it doesn't just happen to sannyasis. It also happens to grihastas in family life. They are adored by their family members. This is the same disease. And the father is acting as guru in the family life. But how sincere is that father in family life also? Is he understanding, I just want to give the purity and the truth to my family members? Or does he have some other mood that he is getting from his family? This respect, adoration, etc. So this disease of Pratishtha and fame, adoration, etc. is very strong in the world. So Putana represents this. So Putana is immediately destroyed, and it's described in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana that previously Putana is Ratna Mala, either the younger sister of Bali Maharaj or the daughter of Bali Maharaj. It's described in both ways. Yeah, I'm just going to finish it.
Tomorrow you can, because it's very important with you.
Timing. Okay. So there are a few other details about this.
Tomorrow you again.
By Rajanath Prabhu's mercy, I'm being allowed to have 4 days run. Initially, and then after the weekend, another 4 days, I hope. So then we can get through the different demons. But understand the principle that I tried to share with you today. I talked about what is the nature of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I described the 12 cantos. I described some Manga, Abhidaya, and Prayoja. I described the context coming from the first verse through to the last chapter of the 9th canto, approaching the 10th canto. I described the life previously of Kamsa. This is what I went through. And I described most of the Putana demon pastime. And the principle that I tried to share is the affection that the Brijavasis feel for Krishna. This will come out more and more and more, and with every demon, a newer and newer sweetness actually emerges of Krishna's very intimate Braja Leela. This is what these pastimes, or the way I am presenting them in this forum, about. Focusing on Braja in particular. So thank you very much for your time and attention. I hope I didn't make too many mistakes. I should help you produce